The man looked off in horror as a crack several kilometers long suddenly appeared on the sea surface. He hurriedly urged his team to board the helicopter, but before everyone could get on, a massive wave crashed into the oil tanker. The 100,000-ton ship was blown off its anchor in the blink of an eye, and the nearby drilling platform was instantly destroyed by the huge wave. As a large amount of seawater poured into the crack, the giant sea creature disappeared in an instant, and the workers working at the bottom of the drilling platform also noticed something unusual. When he looked up, he saw that the solid pipe was instantly destroyed by the seabed. Then, the blast from the explosion sent the helicopter swaying left and right. Fortunately, the helicopter was able to pull up from the sea surface just a second before the drilling platform collapsed. Looking at the burning drilling platform after the explosion, the several people were stunned. However, there had been signs of this happening days before. A week earlier, an offshore drilling platform in the North Sea had sunk to the bottom of the sea, and headquarters immediately dispatched rescue expert Xiao Meter to assist. They quickly arrived at the rescue ship in the area. With the help of a search and rescue robot, they quickly located a survivor, but the survivor suddenly began coughing violently. At this point, the gas detector also sounded an alarm. Realizing something was amiss, he immediately reported the news to Rio, but before they could react, the next second, they thought the disaster was over, but when Zhao Mei and her colleague Zhao Shui reviewed the robot footage, they discovered something more terrifying. More gas was leaking from the cracks in the seabed, and the situation seemed to be developing in a more serious direction. Zhao Mei immediately reported the situation to the company's senior management, who took the matter very seriously and immediately convened the company's directors and experts from various disciplines to investigate. At this moment, everyone realized that the seafloor collapse that had occurred 8,000 years earlier seemed poised to recur. Due to the prolonged oil extraction, the seafloor blocks had been drained, and an even more severe collapse was imminent. Senior management, realizing the severity of the situation, immediately ordered the remote shutdown of all drilling platforms and the swift evacuation of all personnel. With the full support of the Joint Rescue Center, the evacuation proceeded smoothly.
However, just as the crew was about to shut down the last oil well, the system failed to connect. At the last moment before the evacuation, Xiao Mei's husband, Zhuangge, volunteered to take on a task and took the elevator to the control room on the seafloor. However, something unexpected happened. The control room staff unexpectedly discovered that all drilling platforms had lost signal. Zhuangge, meanwhile, had already arrived at the oil well's control room. Just as he was about to close the valve, a strange sound suddenly rang out. When he reached the wall where the sound had come from, he discovered water seeping from the 2-meter-thick wall. Confused, he looked up to see tons of seawater gushing down. Zhuangge immediately ducked to avoid it. After the accident, senior management immediately informed Xiao Mei of the news. Xiao Mei pleaded with the company to send a rescue team to save her mother-in-law, but the management, unwilling to save one person at the cost of more lives, refused Xiao Mei's request. After Xiao Mei saw the final video of her husband's death, she could no longer hold back and burst into tears. Xiao Mei shidded to respeed. However, at this moment, the staff suddenly discovered that the escape hatch between the two oil wells had been opened, indicating that Zhuangge might still be alive. This gave Xiao Mei hope, and despite opposition, she immediately joined Xiao Shui and secretly took their equipment to the drilling platform where the accident occurred. Based on the remaining platform structure diagram, the two quickly determined Zhuangge's location and immediately released the search and rescue detector. With the help of the infrared device, they finally found Zhuangge's figure. Then the two went through hundreds of spiral staircases and came to the connection between the two drilling wells. Finally, they found the surviving Xuangge further down. Quickly covering more than 100,000 kilometers of sea surface, and the polluted area continued to expand. Just when everyone was at a loss, the top management suddenly proposed a solution. He believed that the leaked oil was still in a dense state and too thick to be ignited. As long as the oil was ignited, the crisis could be resolved. However, this was not a decision the directors could make.